Welcome, my name is Jason Johnson and thank you for watching this video. I hope my videos are helpful for you and I thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment below and I'll try to get an answer back to you as quick as possible or to point you in the right direction. Okay, so this video is going to be over VLSM or Variable Length Subnet Mask. And I'm going to try to make it easy for you. You can also check out my website at jasonejohnson.com or my blog post on there. I've got other videos on there as well as my YouTube channel. So let's take a look at VLSM. I'm going to give you two different examples here. We're going to do a real easy VLSM. We're going to do it in the 4th octet, and then I'm going to give you a little bit more complicated one, but I'm going to use a lab example from the Cisco CCNA Netacad course 1 for the Introduction to Networks. So let's take a look at this first. We need to have 3 subnets. I've got a subnet here, I've got a subnet here, and I've got a subnet here, if I can draw correctly. Okay, so I've got a subnet here, a subnet here, and a subnet here. So I need 2 IP addresses here, I need 50 here, and I need 75 here. So if I'm looking at my subnet of 172.116.128.0.24, I've got one subnet and I've got to break that into 3, at least 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my subnet chart, and I really encourage you, if you don't understand subnetting, to go watch my subnetting videos first so that you get an understanding of what I'm doing with the subnet. Some people call it the magic number subnetting. I don't use magic number. I just use this easy chart because this is a chart that you can hand write out when you go to take an exam, and it helps you do subnetting, and it will help you with the variable length subnetting as well. So I've been given this IP address right here, 172.16.128.0.24, and I need to break that into at least 3 subnets, and I don't have, if I break that in, if I just half that, that's going to give me 2 subnets, and that's going to give me 128 subs there. It's going to give me 2 subnets of 128 apiece. But if I break that into 4 subnets, that's only going to give me 4 with 64 hosts each, and that's not going to give me what I need right there because I need at least 75. And if I break it into 4, that's only going to give me 64. So if I break this out and I subnet this out into 4 equal subnets, I'm not going to have enough host addresses. So the answer is variable length subnet mask. So let's take a look here. So we're going to write out our IP address on my chart here, 172.16.128.0. And I'm going to say we're going to subnet this at least once. So we're going to go ahead and say let's at least go ahead and half it so that I can at least get my 128 host to my 75 that I needed. So I'm going to at least get 126, excuse me. So that's host minus 2. So 128 minus 2 is our available host, but that's our what some call the magic number, the 128. So we're going to write a /25 in here. And let me delete these out because I was doing some examples there. So we're going to write a /25. And so I'm going to say here, I'm going to write out 172.16.128. And I'm using the number of 128 to calculate by. So I'm going to go from 0 to 128. My broadcast address is going to be 1 less than that. So that's 127. My last host address is going to be 1 less than that. So that's 126. And my first host is going to be 1 more than my network number, and that's going to be a 1. So I can effectively say that my subnet that I can use is 172.16.128.0/25. So that's going to tell me, if looking at a /25, I know now based on that subnet mask that my network ID is a 0. That's a 0. It's a 0. My first host is a 1, my last host is a 126, and my broadcast is 127, based on that CIDR addressing of the subnet mask. And if you understand subnetting, that's easy enough for us. But what we're going to do now is we've assigned to our headquarters, we've assigned effectively at least 126 subnet or host for that subnet, and we only needed 75. Well, now we've got another subnet now. We've got 2 subnets of 126 each. But what we need to do now is we need to subnet that down because I still have to have 2 more subnets. And so I've got to subnet this second one down, and I only need 50 in this one. So if I look at my range here, I can subnet this down to 1 more. I can subnet it into this range right here because this is going to give me 62 host. It's a 64 range, but it's going to give me 62 usable hosts because you subtract your network and your broadcast ID. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and write this out. So we're going to make this a /26. So we're going to say a /26, and we're going to say 172.16.128. And now we're going to use the number of 64. So if we take 128 plus 64, and if you've written your chart out up here, you can just say 128 plus 64 is our 192. So our next number is going to be 192. And we can say our broadcast address for this one now is 1 less than 192, so that's 191. Our last usable host is 190. Our first host is 129, one more than our network. So now we can say that let's write this out here on this one. So now we can say our subnet number is 172.16.128.128/26. So if we were to figure that out, if we were just to put that out in binary notation, we'd be able to see that a /26 gives us a network ID of 128, because that's our first one, 128. Our first usable host is 129. That's easy enough to figure out. And then based on the 26 subnet mask, our broadcast address is 191 and our usable host, so we have a 129 to 190, which gives us effectively 62 usable IP addresses. We only needed 50, so that gives us plenty there. Now, we could say that we can just go ahead and say we've got 62 addresses and we're going to go ahead and assign those. We're going to go ahead and put those into this area right here. But we really don't need that many IP addresses in there. We will only ever need 2 IP addresses in that range. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and say what's the smallest that we need in there, and we only need 2 IP addresses. So let's go back over here and look at our chart here. So we only need 2 IP address or host. We only need 2 hosts. So we're going to use the network bit of 30. So if we look at our chart here and we say we're going to use the /30, we're going to use the /30, and so we're going to count by 4. So we're going to say 172.16.128.192. Let's write this one, 172.16.128.1, and now we're going to take 192 and we're going to go up. We're going to count by 4, right? So when we go up by 4, we're going to get 196. Oh, if I can write it in there. So we're going to write a 196 in there. And then our broadcast address is going to be 195. Our last host is going to be 194. And our first usable host is going to be 193. And that gives us 2 usable IP addresses in there. And we're going to call that a /30. And we have 2 hosts needed. We have 2 hosts available. And we can effectively write this out as 128.192/30. And based upon that, we can say, based on this subnet mask here of 30, we know that our network ID is 192. Our first usable is 193. Our broadcast is 195, and if we take that subnet mask and put it over into binary and add it out into binary, it would be 195. And our last host, so we have 193 and 194. So we can assign 172.16.128.192, or excuse me, .193 to this port right there, and we can assign 172.16.128.194 to that port. And we still have some IP addresses left over. We didn't need them all because we'll never need more than 2 in that subnet. So now we have 172.16.128 all the way up to 256. And we still have 255 here, 254, and 197. And that gives us this remaining IP range there. And we can still then assign those out if we need those. And we can effectively say, or we can see what's our available range there is from 197 to 254. So we still have those IP ranges, or those hosts, excuse me. We still have those hosts available. So that's how you do a variable length subnet mask in the 4th octet. It gets a little bit more complicated when we do it into the 3rd octet or the 2nd octet, but 2nd and 3rd octet is about the same when we do it. and you just have to do multiple octets. And so it gets a little bit more complicated, but we're going to do it in the third octet. And we're going to use this example right here. This is a lab from the Cisco Netacad course, the Introduction to Networks. And what we've been asked to do in this lab is we've said that we've been given an IP address. We've been given an IP address of 172.16.128.0/17. And we've been asked to subnet this out where we need 16,000 hosts, 8,000 hosts, 4,000 hosts, 2,000 hosts, 1,000 hosts, 500 hosts. We need 2 here, we need 2 here, and we need 2 here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 subnets. So we need 9 subnets in there. But we're not going to just going to chop this subnet up. We don't want to just say, hey, I need 9 subnets, and let me just start slapping IP addresses all over the place, because and let's just say that I need 9 subnets here. And so we're just going to then apply this and say I need 9 subnets, and let's break it up. We're going to do this in a variable length subnet mask so that we can assign just what's needed inside of each subnet. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to erase this here and back off because I've already wrote my example out, so you can see what the final product is going to be. So if you want to pause your screen right now or pause the video right now, you'll see what it's going to end up looking like. And I'm going to back it off and I'm going to walk through these real quick and explain how we got there. Okay, so we have been given an IP address of 172.16.128.0.17. And if we wrote that out in our subnet mask, we would see 8 plus 8 is 16 plus one more bit spot is the 17. So if we go over and look at our chart over here and we look at our subnet mask and we say we're in the 17th place here, that's 255.255.128.0 is our subnet mask. So we've been given that IP address. And so we have available to us 32,000 hosts, 32,766 available hosts to us. However, we don't need all that many, and we need to break that up because we have to get to this. We have to have 16 plus 8, and if we just split it in half, we would have 16 and 16, but we need to then keep breaking it up, and that's what we're going to do with this. We're just going to keep breaking this up into smaller and smaller subnets until we get all of the subnets that we need. We don't break them up. We're not going to break them up into separate and equal subnets. They're going to be smaller and smaller. So our first one is we need 16,000. And so if we look at our chart over here and on for 16,000 of them, we're going to use a /18. Now on my chart here, I know this is I use this in the 4th octet, but we can also use this to find our number that we add by inside of the, excuse me. We can also find our number that we calculate by. So we're going to say this first one here is going to be 172.16.128. And now we're going to count by, and now we're going to go up from 128. So instead of 128, we're going to add to 128. We're not going to add to the 4th octet. We're going to add to the 3rd octet. And since we're calculating with an 18th place, and let's say we're doing a /18. And so /18, we're doing the 192 place. So if we look at our 192 place, then we're going to count by 64. So we're going to add 64 to 128. So we say 128 plus 64 is 192. So we're going to say 192.0 is my first network address. And if I back that off, and my broadcast address now for this one is going to be 1 less than 192. And 1 less than 192 is 191.255. Because you remember that we're dealing with 2 octets here. We're dealing with the 3rd and the 4th octet. And our last host is going to be 1 less than that, which is 191.254. And our network is 128.0. So our first host address is going to be 128.1. And so we can write our subnet number out as 172.16.128.0/18. And that gives us 16,382 hosts. We only needed 16,000. So we're good to go on that one. Now we still have that other 16,000 left. So let's go to our next subnet, and that one needs 8,000 hosts. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to say .16 dot, and now we're gonna go into the next bit range. So we used a /18 here, so we need to calculate what's our next bit range. So we're gonna use a 19, and if we look at our chart here, and we're gonna use the 19, and our subnet mask is a 224. So if we look at the 224 chart here, and we say that's gonna count by 32, so we're gonna say 192 plus 32 is 192 plus 32 is 224.0 is our first network ID there. And so then we're going to back off and we're going to say, since this is our /19, we're going to say our first broadcast address is 1 less than 224. And so that's going to be 223.255. Yeah, 223. Because it's 1 less, so we have to do 223.255. And that's going to be 223.254. And this is going to be 1 more than 192, so 192.1. So 192, and we can write this one out here as 172.16.192.0/19. So when we look at that IP number there with the /19, we know based on that masking that our network ID starts at .0 and it ends at 223.225. Okay, so now we have our next one, and so now we've split this again. So now we have 8,000, and we still have 8,000 left over, but we only need 4,000 in this next one. We don't need another 8,000 here. We only need 4,000. So we are going to, and let me scroll that up just a hair. There we go. We are going to go to our next bit place, and we're going to say, we're going to subnet that one more time, and now we're going to do a /20. And a /20 is a subnet mask of 255.240. So if we look here, 240 is going to be in the 16 place. So we're going to say a /20. And so we're going to add 16 to that. And so we're going to say it's 172.16. And if we just look on there, it's going to be a 224. And we're going to add 16. So that's going to be a 240.0. And we're going to look at our broadcast address, and that's going to be 1 less than 240, so that's going to be 239.255. Our last host is going to be 1 less than that, so that's going to be a 239.254. And our first host address is going to be 1 more than 224, and that'll be 224.1. And so from 224.1 all the way up to 239.254 is our host range. That gives us 4,000 at least. That's 4,094. And we can write that out as 172.16.224.0/20. And based on that subnet masking or that CIDR address of 20, that lets me know that that's what this IP range is. And our next one is we need to subnet that one more time because we need 2,000, 1,000, and 500. So we're just going to go ahead and go down here. So 172.16. And now we're going to go into the /21. And based on our chart here, we're at the 248. And so based on 248, we're going to add 8 to that. But we also know that it's just going to be 248 because we're adding 8 to it. So 248.0. And we just back 1 off of that. So that'd be 247.255. 247.254. And that one's 240.1. And our subnet number is 172.16.240.0/21. And that tells us that we have 2,046 hosts in that range right there. And then our next one we're going to do 172.16. Oh, our next one we're going to do a /22 because we need 1,000. So we're going to split it again. And so we're going to say our next one is 248, but we're going into the it's not a /30. We're going into the subnet mask of 255.252.0. So now we're going to count by 4. So we're going to say 248 plus 4 is 252. So 252.0. And we're just going to do our numbers again. So 252 minus 1 is 251.255. 251.254. And this one is going to be 248.1. And our subnet number is going to be 172.16.120. Oh, not 240. 248.0/22. And we need to get 500 out of this next one. So we're going to split it again. So we're going to say 172.16. And now we're in the 2 range here. So are we going to count by 2? Well, certainly we're just going to add 2 more to it. So it's going to be 254. So we're just going to say 254.0 there. And we're going to say this is a /23. And so our number 1 less than 254 is 254.255. Sorry, not 254. 253.255. Almost said that wrong. 1 less than 254 is 253.255. 1 less than that is 253.254. And 1 more than 252 is 252.1. So our network address is 172.16.252.0/23. And that gives us 510 host, and we only needed 500, so we're okay there. And so our next ones now, we only need 2 on each one of these. So we're not going to just split these evenly. We're going to say that we only need 2. So here's where it gets a little bit tricky and some of the confusion comes in on variable length subnet masking. Well, we only need 2 subnets, or excuse me, we only need 2 hosts and 3 subnets. So if we come and look at our chart over here, and if we say we only need 2 hosts right here, well, we can subnet in the /30 range on our range here. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to use a /30, and we're going to do this in the 4th octet, which makes it a little confusing sometimes because we're jumping directly to the 4th octet, but we're going to use a /30 and we're going to count by 4. So we're not going to count by 4 in the 3rd octet now, we're going to count by 4 in the 4th octet. So what we're going to do is we're going to write out our number 172.16.254.4 because we're going to count by 4. So in the 4th octet, we're going to go up by 4 numbers. So we're going to go from 0 to 4. And on here, we're going to say that this is a /30. It's not a /24, it's a /30 because we jumped all the way to the 30 range. And so our broadcast address is going to be 254. 1 less than 254.4 is 254.3. And 1 less than that is 254.2. And 1 more than 254.0 is 254.1. So you can see I've got 2 addresses here, 254.1 and .2. Which gives me 2 addresses, and I can write that out as 172.16.254.0/30. And based on that subnet masking, I know what my network ID is. I know that I'm going to do a 30, so I'm going up 4 places. So my broadcast is 254.3. 0, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then my 2 host numbers are .1 and .2. And I'm just going to do that 2 more times. I'm just going to write those out, .16, and I'm going to go up 4 more places, but we're still going to go in the 4th octet. So we're going to do 254.8 on this one. 4 plus. Oh, if I can get this, 254.8. Here we go. And this is going to be a /30. And so 1 less than that is going to be 254.7. 1 less than that is 254.6. And 1 more than that is 254.5. So that gives me 2 host numbers. And that's /30. So I would write that as 172.16.254.4/30. And on my last one, I'm going to do 1 more here. I'm going to do 172.16.254. And I'm going to go up 4 more. So that's going to give me 12 here. And I'm going to make this one a /30. And I'm going to 1 less than 254.12 is 254.11. 1 less than that is 254.10. And 1 more than 254.8 is 254.9. Okay, and so I can write that network ID as 172.16.254.8/30. And so now I have effectively created, or I have created, 3 subnets with 2 each. I've created a subnet with 16,000, 8,000, 4,000, 2,000, 1,500, and then I still have IP addresses left over. I still have some that are left over down here at the bottom. So I can still subnet from .12 all the way up to 256. See, I can go up to 254.256, and that would still let me do 254.255, and 254.254, and 254.13. So I would still have this IP range there to hand out if I needed to. If I wanted to make a DHCP server and hand those IP addresses out, I could do that. But those IP addresses would still be available for use if I wanted to use those. But in this case, for this lab, you're not going to worry about those extras that are left over. We're only worried about this area right here. And in that lab that you're going to work on, which is the 8.2.1.5 lab, designing and implementing VLSM addressing scheme, you're just going to need to go down and answer your questions, and you're going to end up with a chart similar to what I wrote out. You're going to end up with a chart like this. You need to write your CIDR addressing out, your first host address, and your broadcast address, which is what you're getting right here. So if you just pause the screen, you can get those numbers from there. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful. It went a little bit longer than I wanted to, about 26 minutes. But if you have any questions, leave comments or leave your questions in the comments below, and again, we'll try to get back with you as quick as possible. Hope you have a great day, and hope you enjoyed the video.